There's this moment, and if you've ever felt it, you'll know exactly what I mean, where you're with people you've known for years and something just feels off. The conversations are the same, nothing's wrong. It just doesn't feel the same anymore, and you don't really know why. And this shows up in small ways. Someone says something about you that used to be true, and it just doesn't feel right anymore. And instead of correcting them, you just let it happen. Because how do you even begin to explain that it doesn't feel like you anymore? Or there's moments when you just stop relating to the people you called friends for years in small ways that slowly add up over time until you've become a totally different person compared to them. It doesn't happen all at once either. You don't wake up as a different person. It's quieter than that. You just start noticing how conversations that used to feel easy now feel slightly off. Opinions you used to have don't quite hold the same weight. You hear yourself say things that sound like you, but don't fully feel true anymore. Nothing is clearly wrong. It just doesn't fit the same way it used to. For me, it shows up most in conversations. I'll be talking to someone I've known for years, and I can feel this quiet gap between what I'm saying and what I actually mean. Not because I'm lying, but because the version of me they're talking to isn't quite current anymore. And I'll sit there thinking, how do I even begin to explain that? How do you tell someone that the person they think they know has changed without it sounding like a rejection? So you don't. You just let the conversation follow its usual pattern and then go home carrying something you couldn't quite say. And it's not just what you say, it's what you leave out. The parts that stay internal. Not because you're hiding them, but because there's no natural place for them to land. The strange part is that nothing around you has really changed. The same people, the same dynamics, the same conversations, everything carries on like it always has. But internally, something has shifted. And that's where the tension starts. Because the people around you still see you in a way they always have. They're not doing anything wrong. They're just responding to who you've been to them. But when that no longer lines up with how you actually feel, you start to notice the gap. And it shows up in small moments. A conversation you don't fully engage with. A reaction that feels slightly out of place. A version of yourself you slip into without thinking, just to keep things smooth. And the obvious thing would be to say something, to explain it, to tell people you've changed. But it's not that simple. Because it's not clear enough to explain cleanly. It's not a full transformation. It's just that certain things don't feel right anymore. And trying to put that into words can sound vague, or worse, like you're rejecting something or someone. So instead, you stay as you are on the surface. You respond how you normally would. You let conversations follow their usual pattern, even when part of you feels slightly disconnected from it. And over time, that creates a kind of distance. Not necessarily from people, but from the feeling of being fully seen. Because the loneliness that comes from this isn't obvious. You're still around people, still talking, still involved, but something is slightly out of sync. Like you're there, but not fully recognized for who you are now. And what makes it harder is when you realize it's not just with people you barely know. It's the people closest to you, friends you've had for years, even family, the people who would probably say they know you the best. And in a way, they do. Just not this version of you, not who you are now. And that's a strange thing to sit with. Feeling like the people closest to you still see someone you've already grown out of. Not because they don't care, not because they're doing anything wrong, but because they're holding on to something that no longer fully exists. And you feel that. You can feel the difference between how you're seen and how you actually are. And that's where it starts to feel isolating, because it's not a loud kind of loneliness. It's quiet, subtle, hard to explain. It's the kind that sits underneath everything, where you can be in a room with people you've known for years and still feel slightly separate from it. Like you're present, but not fully understood. And once you notice that, it's hard to ignore. You start to see it more clearly. The way conversations stay the same. The way certain parts of you just don't come up anymore. The way you hold things back because there isn't space for them to be received properly. At the same time, you're not fully someone new either. You're not who you were, but you haven't fully settled into who you're becoming. You're in between. And that space can feel even more isolating because there's nothing solid to point to. No clear way to explain it. Just the sense that something has shifted and everything around you is slightly behind it. For me, that's been the hardest part. Not the change itself, but having no clear way to express it. Because when something is obvious, you can say it, you can explain it. But when it's subtle, you end up carrying it quietly. You adjust, you go along with things. You leave certain thoughts unsaid because they don't quite fit the version of you people expect. And over time, you get used to that gap being there. Not comfortable, just familiar. And slowly, you realize this isn't something people really talk about. That space where you've changed internally, but your life hasn't caught up yet. Where you can't go back to how things were, but you're not fully somewhere new either. It's not dramatic, but it's real. And if you've been feeling that quiet shift, that distance between who you are now and how you're still being seen, then there's nothing wrong with you. It probably just means something changed. Something changed about you. Even if no one else has noticed it yet. Because change like this, it doesn't come with recognition. It doesn't come with a clear moment. It just happens quietly over time. And most people won't see it while it's happening. Not because they don't care, but because from their perspective, nothing has really changed. So if you're in that space right now, where things feel slightly out of sync, where you don't fully feel like the person people think you are anymore, you're not the only one. Even if no one around you has acknowledged it yet, I see it.